Welcome to this webinar. My name is Amanda Kelly and I'm the Industry Manager for Maths, English and Employability at City & Guilds. In this session we're going to outline the alternative arrangements that have been agreed for essential skills qualifications in Northern Ireland for 2021. Following on from the Minister's announcement stating that all externally assessed examinations would be replaced with a Centre Determined Grade (CDG) approach based on trusted evidence, City & Guilds received a directive from SEA, the regulator. This means that essential skills examinations will not take place from the 1st of March 2021 until the 31st of August 2021. More information and greater detail is set out in our Arrangements and Adaptations Guide, which is available from the link on the slide. All externally set and marked examinations for essential skills qualifications have been cancelled with effect from the 1st of March 2021. Centres will move to a Centre Determined Grade approach based on trusted evidence. This arrangement will apply from the 1st of March 2021 until the 31st of August 2021. During this time, externally marked essential skills assessments must only be awarded through alternative arrangements. The Centre Determined Grade replaces the assessment evidence from the examinations. The alternative arrangements in this document apply to centres in Northern Ireland who offer any of the assessments listed in the table shown on the screen. These alternative arrangements are only available for external examinations. Learners who were due to undertake these assessments during the period 1st of March to the 31st of August must use the alternative arrangements. Internal assessments such as speaking and listening cannot use alternative arrangements and must be completed using the adaptations that are currently available. Centres will determine a grade, that is pass or fail, in essential skills for learners who are either legitimately expected to take their essential skills external examination between the 1st of March and the 31st of August, or those who cannot take their planned external assessment during this academic year for reasons outside their control. Please note this includes learners who are expected to resit an assessment. To demonstrate the eligibility of a learner, centres should gather and retain evidence that may be required for audit purposes. This evidence should include the date of their initial assessment, their assessment level and their target level, the details of their class or the delivery model, the total number of guided learning hours attended, including an indication of whether this instruction was face-to-face or carried out remotely, tracking to indicate coverage of the content or readiness to take their examination, and authentication indication such as learner and teacher signature or electronic alternatives. Centres will make judgments on a learner's performance against minimum evidential requirements. This professional judgment is derived from evidence held within the centre and which has been reviewed by tutors, quality assured and approved by relevant heads of department. This will be a holistic professional judgment balancing different sources of trusted evidence. Teachers and heads of department will have a strong understanding of candidate skills, knowledge and understanding. Coming to this judgment, centres should assume that it is no easier or harder for a learner to achieve this year compared with previous years, and judgments should reflect how they would have performed if they would have taken an external examination. The evidence used to make judgments on a learner's ability should be considered, giving greatest weight to the most trusted evidence in the order given in this bullet list. At the top, there is previous centre-marked attempts at essential skills practice tests, then formative assessment results, Formative assessment is defined as assessment undertaken to check learning has taken place and to assess progress towards the level. This can be centre devised or an externally set assessment. This does not include initial and diagnostic assessment. See this listed below, as it should be given less weighting. Next, consider any other candidate work towards the qualification, for instance work that they have independently undertaken in class or at home. Then consider their initial and diagnostic assessment, and finally consider candidate work demonstrating the skills assessed by essential skills qualifications that has been completed in support of another qualification learning aim. We are developing the processes around the quality assurance model and the submission of centre-determined grades, and will update our guidance as soon as these are available. In the meantime, for audit purposes, centres must produce and retain a written justification of their centre-determined grade and records of the evidence submitted for each learner until the end of the appeal period. Below are some examples of what this should include: confirmation that the minimum evidential requirements have been met, the evidence that was used to form the judgment, declaration of authenticity from the learner around any evidence that was used, the centre judgment decision and their justification, and any internal quality assurance records. The centre-determined grades outlined in the preceding slides only apply to the externally set and marked exams for communications, that's reading and writing, and application of number. Where possible, centres should deliver assessments in line with normal assessment conditions, ensuring that this is done so in line with public health advice. However, where this is not possible, centres can apply adaptations to the assessments which are outlined here. City and Guilds continues to work with the regulator to add to these adaptations. Centres are required to inform City and Guilds of their intention to adapt assessments via the Centre Intention form, which is on the website. There's a link on this slide. Speaking and listening. There is no centre-determined grade submission for speaking and listening. Where speaking and listening assessments cannot be conducted in person, remote assessment can be used as an adaptation. This means that the assessor does not need to be in the same location as the candidates or other participants. Details about the requirements and recording of the assessment activity is given in detail in the Adaptations and Alternative Arrangements Guidance document. Adult literacy or numeracy at entry level. Assessment can take place remotely without supervision. Materials can be shared with candidates to complete in their own time. We are currently amending some versions of these tasks to make them available as writable PDFs to support learners completing these activities remotely. Information communication technology. As these qualifications are assessed by a portfolio of evidence, the completion and assessment of this evidence does not need to happen under supervised conditions. Centres should consider the full range of evidence that can be used and the candidate's normal way of working. Suggested ways to authenticate evidence may include any one of the following: conducting a discussion with the learner around how they found the activity, the approach they took to some of the questions in order to authenticate that they completed the work, and they can explain the approaches they've taken. You could compare the performance demonstrated for this piece of evidence against other evidence produced by the learner, or against the level of attainment that has been seen through teaching and learning. Also, you could ask the learner to complete a declaration confirming that the work is their own when the work is submitted. I realise that many of you have questions about the process for letting City and Guilds know your intention to move forward with centre-determined grades, or you want to ask how to go about submitting grades. However, we're still setting this process up to enable these actions to be taken. We will update the guidance and issue an email alert as soon as these have been agreed. In the meantime, if you have other questions, please email centresupport@cityandguilds.com and we will ensure that you're given a response to your questions. Thank you for joining us for this recording, and I hope that you have found it useful.